now is the time that we go to the City of East Chicago show, and this will be, I guess, the first show in a new mode, in that we do have a new mayor in the City of East Chicago, and I'm glad to see you guys here, and that this show is continuing, because it is important to get out a lot of the good things that are going on in the City of East Chicago and get a connection to those folks, and have the city talk directly to them. A lot of people in EC are listening right now, and will be watching on the EC TV. So, with that being said, I would like to welcome in right now the new director of multimedia services for the City of East Chicago. He has worked there a long time. Why don't you tell people who you is?
Thank you for having me. My name's Steve Segura, and I'm here joined by Ray Flores. And basically, the mayor told me he's going to be on the show coming up in the future, and he is very interested in keeping the community empowered and educated as to things going around in city government.
Steve, you have been working for the city for, what, 20 years or so?
Just since I was about 19.
Since you were about 19? So you're only 39 right now?
I wish.
Since you were 19? So how many years have you been working with the city?
About 20-some.
About 20-some years?
Yeah.
And most recently you were working in the graphics area and so forth?
A little bit of everything. I was, kind of always assisted, and kind of always been right behind the director.
So now you're the director of multimedia services. Roosevelt or Washington?
Neither. I went to St. Lawrence in Wisconsin.
In St. Lawrence in Wisconsin?
Yes.
Did you grow up in EC or no?
Yeah, I grew up in the harbor my whole life.
And then you were shipped off?
No, well, I kind of wanted to. I'm a prodigy of the Boys Club. First, I always have to give them a shout out, because they kept me very busy. They kept me focused into my art career and all that stuff. And from there, I just went with a bunch of friends from Harbor Catholic, and we went up to school.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
From IHC? And you hung out at the K House?
Yep.
That's which one you're talking about,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, the K House, that's right.
And that's on, what, 137th and
38th.
Deodore? 38th and Deodore, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 38th and Deodore. And so you were growing up in the harbor, hanging out there?
My whole life. I loved it. I wouldn't change any of those memories for the world.
So then you went to high school in St. Lawrence, Wisconsin?
Yes.
And came back to EC?
Yeah, I went back to work for the Boys Club, because I wanted to get back to the community that gave me what I felt a good start. And so I worked there for about 2.5 years and taught art.
Taught art there?
Yeah.
And then what is the, so how many of those guys from IHC came back to EC?
Quite a bit. One of them is the director of radiology at St. Catherine's.
Who's that?
His name is Roberto Gonzalez.
Dr. Gonzalez?
No,
not doctor, but the director of radiology at St.
Catherine's.
At St. Catherine's.
Yes.
So Roberto Gonzalez came back. Anybody else?
Not back to Chicago, but they're still in the region. Another one named Greg Ruiz. He's a Hammond educator. And Jesse Rodriguez was one of the other ones. He was in East Chicago as a paramedic for many years, but he recently just moved to Chicago. So there's still quite a bit of guys that stood in the area. Steve
Segura is in here. He is the new director of multimedia. So you're going to coordinate. I mean, we're doing this. We said we could talk before the show and get everything straightened out. And I'm like, why do that? Why not just do it on the air? So are you guys? You're going to be the coordinator of this show and that?
Yes. Yes. I know the mayor said he will be on the show. He's going to try to do it at least once a month. I'm not sure we're having a show on Good Friday or not, but.
Well, on your way out, can you talk to Debbie, and we'll figure out, since that might be the one that the mayor comes on, perhaps we can shift it around during that and take another time.
Okay.
A lot of people want to be able to call in and talk to Anthony Copeland. I know we had him on, and it was kind of a historic interview, because he hadn't walked in yet to the office, and he was driving over there or whatever, and he called WJOB, and I think that's a good sign, because people want to hear from the mayor of East Chicago. But if indeed he wants to get on this month, we'll try to make some room for that. And once again, that's called negotiating on the air. You know what I'm saying? Why do it any other way? You know what I'm saying? People don't realize, like, when I get off here at 9, man, I don't want to deal with anything. Let's just do it on the air. You got a problem? Call me. Hey, who's to your left?
We have Ray Flores. He's going to talk a little bit about Junior Bridgeman, who's coming this weekend to East Chicago. It's his first time coming back. Well, since you're already there, why don't you just tell us about it, Ray?
Oh, well, obviously, for those that follow basketball like myself, I was not even thought of when Junior Bridgeman and Tim Stoddard and Pete Turkovich won the state title in 1971. He went on to play basketball at the University of Louisville and then made a nice, long, lengthy career in the NBA, got his number retired by the Milwaukee Bucks. And after that, I mean, Jim, a lot of times we see with these pro players, once they get a certain amount of money, they don't know what to do with it. But Junior Bridgeman was very conscientious and decided to invest his money into restaurants. He has one of the largest chains for both Wendy's restaurants and Chili's restaurants. He's on the Forbes top 10 list of, he's valued at over $200 million. I mean, the guy knows what he was doing both on the court and off the court, and he's really providing a great example for these younger players in the NBA not to blow all your money and invest it in a smart way.
You know what surprised me is he employs over 11,000 people.
Listen to this. He's got 100. He's the owner and president of Mana Inc. and ERJ Inc. ERJ, these two together, probably one's Chili's and one's Wendy's, I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm.
So Mana is probably the Chili's, and ERJ is the Wendy's. He's got 121 Chili's restaurants and 161 Wendy's restaurants. 121 and 161. How many, Ray?
That's incredible. I mean,
how many is that, though?
That's about 280, 281.
121 and 160. 282.
282. There you go. Whoops.
Was it
Central
or Bishop Knoll?
That was Central.
Okay, that was Central. I'm sure
I never claimed myself as a mathematician.
And then who is your highest level math teacher?
I have no idea, but yeah, they should.
Somebody
be
there is not very proud right now.
I'm sure.
But listen, the restaurants employ approximately 11,500 employees. Now, Junior Bridgeman, to a lot of people right now, is the heart and soul of grabbing rebounds off that 1971. Everyone thought that Tim Stoddard was a better rebounder.
Mm.
Junior Bridgeman had far more. And he went on and he was kind of a workman for the Milwaukee Bucks. Not all that flashy of a player, but the entire time. And I remember reading this and other things. He was building for a career after basketball, and had already amassed a decent amount when he left.
He was the president of the NBA Players Association, and as we're seeing now with what's going on in the labor agreements, I mean, that is a very important position because you're the liaison between the players and the owners. And I mean, he really knew that he wanted to play a big impact in life after basketball, and he really helped to kind of facilitate things for the players and their longevity and salaries. And I think he does the same thing for his employees. That's why he has 11,500 employees underneath his control.
What part did he grow up in? In the harbor?
I'm not sure.
Anybody know? Where Junior Bridgeman grow up? Somebody call us right now. 219-845-1100. Somebody out there has to know where Junior Bridgeman grew up in EC, because I don't know. He went to Washington. You got to believe it's in the harbor, but it could have been Prairie Park or, is Calumet? Did that go to the harbor? Little Calumet? I don't know. That's kind of, it was in the middle. In the middle. So who knows where Junior... Somebody call us right now, 219-845-1100. Or was Junior Bridgeman that quiet and unassuming on the streets of East Chicago that he just showed up in Washington and nobody knew?
Yeah. Well, 6'5", I don't think it's very difficult to avoid him. So.
Was he that tall?
Yeah, he's 6'5".
Like he got a lot. He got a lot out of that 6'5".
Yeah, he did.
Nobody knows where Junior Bridgeman grew up in EC.
It's incredible.
Sometimes what I'll do is when no one will answer, I'll just say we're going to be quiet until somebody calls us and tells us. So we're going to be quiet until somebody calls us and tells us, hey, you're on the air. What's up? No, that was a fake.
Yeah, he made, honestly, Jim, he made being the sixth man cool before being the sixth man really had a role. I mean, I think a lot of these guys that are coming off the bench now as the sixth man and are making millions of dollars in the NBA can attribute some of this success to some of the pioneers of being the sixth man position. and Junior Bridgeman was known as the quote-unquote super sub when he was playing with Milwaukee. I mean, when do you ever recollect a sixth man having their number retired? Granted, it was the Milwaukee Bucks, and they don't have a esteemed rich basketball tradition, but still, he had his number retired in 1988, and that says a lot. I mean, he played over 10 years with the Milwaukee Bucks and scored over double figures for 8 straight seasons, and it shows a lot. Super sub, given his name retired, I can't even remember the last time a substitute was honored and had his number retired with an NBA franchise.
So he's coming to... Then there's brunch from 11:15 to 12:45, and then he's signing a book. Junior Bridgeman is signing a book from 1 to 3. It's called... No, is he signing it?
It's called Let's Go Home to Indiana Harbor.
It's a tale of stories that
Let me see the name of the book. Let's Go Home to the Indiana Harbor has 3 goals. That's the name of it?
That's the brief synopsis that we've got from it. I guess it's just kind of some tales about the city of East Chicago and growing up in the harbor and stuff.
So there's the answer to our question.
I guess he grew up in the harbor.
I guess he grew up in the harbor. All right. All right. Well, here, let me just read this. With the historic election of President Barack Obama, it seems that as though all the stars are aligning. Let's Go Home to Indiana Harbor is a story that was begging to be told right now. The vision that President Obama has for a unified America, for one nation, regardless of is not unlike the America I grew up in. Okay, so this must be a quote from the book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The harbor, as my part of the town was affectionately known, was a section of East Chicago, Indiana, where at that time, just about all the kids had either a dad or uncle or cousin or somebody who worked in one of the local steel mills. We were a huge melting pot, all in the same boat. And what a mixed up lot we were. We had Mexicans, African Americans, Polish, Serbians, Czechs, Romanians, Puerto Ricans, Jews, Episcopalians, Baptists, Catholics, Methodists, and probably some nationalities and religions I can't even remember. Here's my question: out of all those mentioned, which nationality was most likely to steal your bicycle from in front of your house?
Oh, wow.
I don't know.
Don't answer that. Don't you people call. That's just me injecting a slight amount of off-color humor, okay? Let's Go Home to Indiana has 3 goals: to lift up Indiana Harbor as an example of how different races, ethnicities, and cultures can live together in a harmonious coexistence, take you back to your, quote, good old days, and to reawaken or instill in each reader, quote, a sense of community. Now, Junior Bridgeman wrote this book?
No, I don't believe Junior Bridgeman wrote the book. I believe it's just a collection of stories that they put together.
Warren G.
Landrum. So Junior's coming to give a speech, and I mean, I can't even recollect the last time he was in the city of East Chicago, and he's been very busy with his restaurant organization. So now he's coming back, and they're going to honor him, and it's great to see that one of East Chicago's very own. You know what's interesting, Jim, is as we were looking at what Junior Bridgeman has done, he's valued at more than Jay-Z, than Kobe Bryant, than Shaq, and that says a lot. He's valued at over $200 million, and I mean, being ahead of all those people says a lot and is a true testament to his knowledge and his wherewithal to invest his money correctly.
So what time is he talking? I'm not kidding.
He's talking at 9 in the morning. He's going to be talking for 2 hours. I would suggest everyone get there early if you want to talk with him before and after. I'm sure he's going to be available. Junior Bridgeman will be there giving a speech and providing, kind of giving some words of wisdom to the residents of East Chicago, Northwest Indiana.
There is a cost.
Yeah, there's a small fee.
$25 a person?
Bucks, yeah.
Yeah, and that includes brunch, and that includes the book signing afterwards. So $25, Junior Bridgeman, and